Good evening. On behalf of the Hopkinton Women's Club, I would like to welcome you to our 30th annual Meet the Candidates Night. My name is Nancy Clark, and I'll be the moderator for this program. The Hopkinton Women's Club was founded in 1920, when women were gaining the right to vote. And each year we organize this Candidates Night to aid all citizens as they determine how to cast their ballot in our upcoming town election. We welcome new members to the Women's Club and encourage anyone interested in our community service organization to visit our website at hopkintonwc.com. We will begin with an opening statement from every candidate. Each person will have a limit of 2 minutes for opening remarks. Our timers this evening are Women's Club members and Hopkinton High School student volunteers. They will hold up a sign periodically to indicate how much time candidates have remaining. If necessary, they will ring a bell to signify the end of 2 minutes, and we will move on. Audience members, please hold your applause until all of the opening statements have been completed. And now our first speaker. For the Board of Selectmen, incumbent John Coutinho.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank the Hopkinton Women's Club for organizing and sponsoring this event each year, and I'd like to thank HCAM and especially the voters of Hopkinton. While on the road of life, there are certain events that define who you are, where you're going. 3 years ago, just before I was to stand up here at this same event, I lost my mother. The reason why I'm such a hawk when it comes to taxes, it was because of her. In her hospital room, she said, "I know that you're going to be a good selectman because you listen, but remember people like me and my friends who are on fixed incomes." Just a couple of days ago, the people of Hopkinton lost a man in Tommy McIntyre, Mr. Hopkinton. He was a very successful man that didn't run for public office. He didn't care what political party you were from or what church you went to. Tommy just went quietly about doing good things in the community, keeping up Hopkinton's heritage by restoring numerous antiques throughout the town. The bells at the cemetery and the firehouse, the signposts on Winter Street are just to name a few. Tommy never sought notoriety. He just kept flashing his patented smile while carrying out random acts of kindness. I cherish this community. I live here. I work here. I volunteer here. I'm seeking re-election to the Board of Selectmen on May 15th because I care deeply about our community and because there are challenges that deserve attention. There's more to being a selectman that meets the eye. It is more than appearing on HCAM 2 evenings a month. I have appointments and meetings 3 times a week on average. I'm collaborating on budgets, land acquisitions, marathon planning, to name a few issues. Serving as an engaged Hopkins selectman means being accessible and acting as a sounding board for all those in the community. And this necessitates making yourself available even at work to listen to concerns.
We must move on to the next person. Thank you.
Well, could I just, my last one?
Okay.
My 3-year term as selectman, in addition to being over 9 boards and committees over the last decade, should give you reassurance that I am the candidate who knows how to get your thoughts, ideas, and demands the fair and open consideration they deserve. I respectfully ask for your support and your vote on May 15th to continue my work as your selectman.
Thank you. And for the Board of Selectmen, Aman Haji.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Nancy, for sponsoring an amazing event here. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Aman Hydri, and I'm running for selectman. My mission as a selectman will be to bring transparency to the community, and I will make sure that there's better communication with the community and the board. I will, as a selectman, I'll make sure that I work very closely with the committees, with the town departments, with the town administrators, and I'll make sure that everyone is working efficiently. I'll make sure that the concerns of the community are addressed in a timely manner. And most importantly, I will make sure the right people are selected on the committees. As for my background, I have over 15 years of business banking experience and business management experience. I've worked with companies. I've helped them become profitable. I have structured their finances, through capital growth, projections, and most importantly, I've helped them to sustain a revenue. I'm currently the vice president at a biotech company in Acton, where I'm responsible for financial reporting and capital growth. I'm married. I have 2 daughters. One daughter graduated from last year from Hopkinton High School, and my other daughter is currently in 8th grade. We moved to Hopkinton for various reasons. I mean, the schooling was on top of the list. There was great scenery, the roads were good, but the main thing was the community that really touched us. People from all walks of life welcomed us, opened the doors to us, and being a minority, we have never felt any sort of resentment and always been loved over here. So I feel that is my responsibility, that I want to give back to the community, and most importantly, it's people like you have actually given me this opportunity to stand today and as candidate for selectman. So thank you very much.
And candidate for the Board of Assessors, Leah Batley-Rafferty.
Hi, I want to thank the Hopkinton's Women's Club for giving me the opportunity to introduce myself since I'm fairly new to the community. I've been here about 1.5 years. I am a data scientist at Bose, so I have a strong background in probabilistic theory and in mathematics. I've worked for very large financial corporations like E-Trade Financial, the Chicago Board of Trade. I've also worked in the insurance industry, so I have a well-rounded view of financial matters. So I hope that that will become a strength during my time in the Board of Assessors. I also have always worked for extremely large corporations, which means dealing with a bunch of people with a lot of competing goals and a lot of different sorts of conflict. So during my time at work, I have had to learn how to set aside any sort of personal emotion, how to deal with the conflict, get to the root of the matter, and be able to resolve the issue at hand, which I feel will be a very strong skill for a Board of Assessors because there's nothing that gets anybody riled up as much as taxes and real estate. So I hope you will vote for me. Thank you very much, and have a great evening.
And for the Board of Assessors, Leslie Fakari.
Thank you, Nancy, and the Hopkinton Women's Club and HCAM for holding this great event. And thank you, our Hopkinton neighbors in the audience and watching on TV. My name is Leslie Fakari, and I'm running for the 1-year term on the Board of Assessors. I'm honored to be here tonight, and it's exciting to see such a large and diverse group of individuals willing to volunteer their time to keep our community strong. My husband and I moved here in 2001 because we wanted a community like this, committed and strong and coming together. My decision to run for this seat stemmed from a personal goal that I have for 2017. I want to lead and contribute in new ways that are not associated with my professional career. I realized that my town had a need, and I could offer my skills and background to add value. The work of the Board of Assessors touches all of us through the valuation of property. It is a time-consuming, detail-oriented, and regulated process. In fact, those on the assessing department and on the board have to complete a course in order to serve in this capacity. In my professional life as a human resources executive, I need to understand and advise within legal frameworks and make decisions both on data and the impact on people, all at the same time maintaining a high level of ethics and confidentiality, all of which are similar to the responsibilities on the Board of Assessors. Throughout my career, I've been recognized as a practical, collaborative, and results-driven leader who has high standards for myself and my teams. I will bring these high standards and deep level of commitment to this role and continue the strong legacy established by the previous dedicated members, Mr. Palmer and the late Dr. Duffy. I respectfully ask for your vote on May 15th.
And for the Board of Health, Elizabeth B. Whittemore.
Good evening. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you to the Hopkinton Women's Club. I'm really thrilled to be here. I've lived in Hopkinton for the last 20 years, and I have really always wanted to give back to this community that has given so much to us. It's a wonderful community. I am very excited to be running for the 3-year term on the Board of Health. My background is in healthcare. I worked clinically as a social worker for many years, and received a degree in public health from Harvard School of Public Health 20 years ago now, just before I moved into Hopkinton. I believe that I bring a perspective of how to implement policies, read regulations, look at detailed work from my professional experience, and I'm eager to share that with the town. So I respectfully ask for your vote on May 15th, and I would like to, I thank you all for being here this evening.
And for the Board of Health, Michael J. King.
Hello, everybody. So I want to start off by thanking the Hopkinton Women's Club as well as HCAM for having us at this event. My name is Michael King. I'm running for the Board of Health. So the Board of Health has a crucial role in the town, ensuring that we have safe and sanitary living conditions as well as protecting the environment. Due to the rapid growth in town, thoughtful, evidence-based health policy is needed now more than ever. I come from a technical background, working several years in biochemical laboratories in academia and industry. In my work, I've worked to solve open-ended problems in large, heterogeneous teams, as well as developing policies to satisfy the demands of several stakeholders, including regulatory agencies. I believe with my background, I can help the town generate safe and sustainable health and environmental policies. So I want to thank you guys again and ask that on May 15th you vote for me, Michael King, for the Board of Health.
And for the Board of Library Trustees, Susan Curries.
Hello, I'm Sue Curries. I'm running for the Board of Library Trustees. I want to thank the Hopkinton Women's Club and HCAM for making this possible. This is the first time I've run for office. I'm really excited to be here. Several years ago, I volunteered as a basic literacy tutor through the public library system. And because of that experience, I got a behind-the-scenes look at what it takes to run a public library. But I also saw what a critical role libraries have in building community and encouraging lifelong learning. I'd like to bring my skills and experience to the board so that I can be a part of leading the library forward. Professionally, my strong suit is in long-range planning, marketing communications, and financial management. I'm known as somebody who's a good collaborator, who brings people together, finds low-cost solutions to very complicated problems, and makes fair and informed decisions. I've been in Hopkinton, blessed to be here for 18 years. I've volunteered with many organizations that are active in the community, and now I want to be even more involved. In Hopkinton, we're passionate about our library, and we've made a big investment in it. It's a really exciting time. I can't think of any better way for me to give back to this town other than bringing my skills to help build the community and to help foster education through the library. I'd be honored to serve as a trustee, and I ask for your support on Election Day. Thank you.
And for the Board of Library Trustees, Margaret Wiggin.
Good evening. My name is Margie Wiggin, and I'm running for a 3-year position on the Board of Library Trustees. I would first like to thank Nancy Clark and the Women's Club and HCAM for hosting this event, and then thank all the residents of Hopkinton who make this town such a great place to live and work. I am a good fit for the Board of Library Trustees because I have worked in libraries, first in high school, then as library assistant at the Hopkins School, and my mother was a children's librarian in Wellesley for 30 years, so I got to see how it looked up close and personal. I have a master's degree in elementary education and reading specialist, and I've worked in the Hopkinton schools for 11 years. I have also written and published 4 children's books. In my 24 years as a Hopkinton resident, I have volunteered on Cultural Council, Youth Commission, and for the schools, Scouts, and soccer, among other things. I have always loved books and reading and have majored in English as a college student. As library trustee, I would work to protect this center of knowledge and history in our town, as well as ensure that the library stays current and relevant while society changes and new information and literature becomes available. Our library is not only a beautiful historical building, but also a treasure in our midst. Hopkinton High School has just been named third best high school in Massachusetts, so our library collection and programs should match or exceed that level. I ask for your vote so that I can help to ensure that excellence. Thank you.
And for the Board of Library Trustees, Jessica King.
Hi. First, I'd like to start by thanking the Women's Club and HCAM for this event. Like it was just said, my name is Jessica King, and I'm running for the Board of Library Trustees, the one-year term. I'm an active patron of the library. I have been my entire life. The town's library is an important pillar in the community, especially for those of us who would like to go and check out books constantly. It provides access to information for everyone, as well as activities and a sense of community, both to the young and to the elderly. As a millennial, I understand the importance of libraries, including their online content, and I feel like we need to promote that a lot more. I'm not sure how many people really know about the online content that's available from the libraries. The library is a very integral part of our community, and I would love to have the opportunity to support the library in the future. Thank you, and please vote for me on May 15th.
For the Cemetery Commission, Claire Wright, incumbent.
Thank you, Nancy. Good evening. I'm Claire Wright. I'm running for re-election to the Cemetery Commission. That's the board that people don't want to really hear about, or at very best they make a joke about. But at some point we all come to realize how important those services are. Mass General Law requires cities and towns to provide cemetery space and services for their citizens. So the job of the commission is to see that those are provided. In recent years, we've opened for use the last remaining portion of Mount Auburn. We installed drainage, we developed the land, and we put in lot markers. We have recently bought another 2.5 acres of land nearby that will take the town hopefully for the next 50 years. We reviewed and updated our rates to be in line with other towns. We've revised our deeds. We've established a mechanism for citizens to sell back unwanted lots so we can return those to our inventory. And now for the fun stuff. And there is fun stuff. We have just digitized all our cemetery records so that they'll be protected and preserved. And very shortly, those will be available on the town website for anyone who wants to do genealogical research or simple family record search. We've put in new shade trees at Mount Auburn when a lovely stand of old maples had to be taken down. We've repaired and reset historic headstones throughout the town, from our town founders' stones, soldiers of the Revolution, the Civil War, and beyond. We refurbished and reopened the lovely Comey Chapel, where you may have gone on history tours led by the commission from that location. And on Memorial Day, we led a program to clean and repair veterans' monuments. We cleaned over 60 stones. So we are an active board, and we provide valuable and meaningful services to the town. And now you know.
For Constable, Francis Durso.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Women's Club, and thank you, HCAM. Hi, neighbors. I'm Frank Durso, and I'm running for the town constable position 1 year. Ed Mills is running for the 3-year, and one of the reasons we're running to make a statement saying that we would like to keep these positions elected. Currently, the town constable position are 3 appointed people by the police chief and board of selectmen, and 3 appointed positions. Last year there was a contested race that was won by Michael Hayes, and this year with the election of Ed and myself, we'll have 3 elected constables and a full slate of 6 once again. Last night I attended the board of selectmen's meeting for an issue, and I wasn't able to stay as late as 11 when they were discussing this matter, but I'd like to ask the couple of members of the Board of Selectmen that are here to reconsider the article that's put forward to remove the elected town constable positions. Otherwise, I just want to say thanks for having us. I'm going to cede the rest of my time to the rest of the candidates that are here for contested elections, and I'll remain for any questions that might come up from the studio audience or phone callers or internet. And I do want to say I'm very proud to stand in front of all these candidates that are here showing a lot of diversity and volunteerism. I'm glad to see so many female candidates running for positions, and as a member of the planning board, I'm really excited that we have so many contested seats that are up and so many people running, just like last year when we had 15 people apply for a position. So I'm really glad that we're moving forward in our town with some positive engagement from everyone. Thank you.
And for the Hopkinton Housing Authority, Rebecca Hoffman.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Hoffman. Thank you very much, HCAM and the Women's Club and Nancy Clark, as everyone else has said. Basically, I'm running for the Housing Authority Board just to provide the oversight to be part of that, to provide the oversight that the board provides, to make sure that the properties that we have in town, the town-owned affordable properties, remain safe and pleasant and home-like places for the people to live in, and that we do provide a certain amount of affordable housing here in town. I actually live on Mount Auburn Street, so I am a neighbor of these properties, so I figure that's an added benefit, and I'm always open to hearing what residents have to say about their concerns, and would be excited to get involved in this local endeavor. And I will see the rest of my day.
For the Parks and Recreation Commission, Christina M. Anderson.
Thank you. My name is Christina Anderson. I'm running for the 3-year term of Parks and Rec. I'm also on the Youth Commission, and I'm also on the Upper Charles Trail Committee. So I believe being on those 2 committees, I can commingle with them. I do know there are a lot of projects going on in Park and Rec. I also know there are a lot coming up, and I would like to be involved in those. I've been in town personally 11 years, but my mother is from this town, her family's from this town, my uncle is also from this town. One of my main things is that I would like to see more programs for teenagers, because unless you get on the high school team, there's really not too much else for you to do through the town. But that's my main concern right now, and I hope you can vote for me on May 15th. Thank you.
For the Parks and Recreation Commission, incumbent Laura W. Hanson.
Hi, Hopkintonians. Thank you to the Women's Club and to HCAM. You guys always throw a good event. I'm running for re-election for Parks and Rec. I have truly enjoyed the last 2 years working with this great group to offer quality programs and activities for the Hopkinton community. There are many projects that I'm working on that I would really like to see through, such as the dog park, the fountain garden and common beautification projects, and further sandy beach improvements and activities. I truly enjoy hosting and organizing the free summer concerts on the Common, and I will continue organizing opportunities for the Hopkinton community to come together. If you elect me, I will continue to work hard for our wonderful town and create activities and avenues to bring our wonderful community together. Thank you. I look forward to your vote on May 15th.
And for Parks and Recreation Commission, incumbent Amy Markovich.
Hi, thank you. My name is Amy Markovich. I am seeking re-election for Parks and Rec for a 3-year term. I have been a part of Hopkinton for over 21 years. I have 3 teens, 14, 15, and 16. I have served on the Hopkinton Youth Soccer Association board. I have been an integral part of the lacrosse programs, both boys and girls. I've coached 8 years in lacrosse, helped start a after-school program for first graders in lacrosse. Love coaching the kids, like being a part and trying to do as much as we can for the youth. Not right now, I'm a liaison on the board as for the Youth Commission. I see a lot of opportunities. I want to continue our programs that we're offering. And I hope to see your vote on May 15th, and thank you.
For the Planning Board, Amy B. Ritterbusch.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to begin by thanking Nancy Clark and the other members of the Women's Club for organizing tonight's annual event. I'd also like to thank the staff and volunteers here at HCAM. Hopkinton is truly fortunate to have such an active cable access channel. So my name is Amy Ritterbush, and I am running in a contested race for one of the 5-year seats on the planning board. I'm a hard worker, I do my research, and I have a long history of involvement with the town and schools. The planning board has more influence on shaping our town than perhaps any other board. This is a critical time in Hopkinton due to the rapid growth and development we are experiencing. During the campaign process, I am reaching out to residents from all parts of town, lifelong residents and newcomers, and the number one concern that I have heard from everyone is that the town is growing too quickly for our town services to handle. I don't have all the answers, but I believe it is important to have a planning board that better reflects the priorities of the town population as a whole. My husband Tim and I have lived in Hopkinton for 13 years. We own a modest 130-year-old home in the center of Hopkinton, and we enjoy walking in the downtown area as well as on the center trail. We have 3 children, grades 11, 9, and 6, who all walk to the Hopkinton schools. I have a BA from UMass Amherst and currently work as the webmaster for the Wellesley Public School District. I have held many volunteer roles in town over the years. At the moment, I'm serving as the chair of the Historic District Commission, and I'm a member of the Design Review Board, which is an advisory board to the Planning Board. I am a founding member of EHOP, where I have served as a board member since 2007. I also volunteer regularly with Boy Scout Troop 1, the Hopkinton Middle School Drama Club, and Girl Scout Troop 65040. It's important to have planning board members who are knowledgeable, informed, and actively engaged with the issues and the residents. My communications background, technical, and research skills will be a good complement to the skill sets of the other board members. I would like to bring my experience, my love of the town, my work ethic, and attention to detail to the planning board to ensure that we are all growing in the best manner for all of us. I work hard to stay on top of the issues in town, and I will bring some balance and fresh perspective to the planning board, and I respectfully ask for your vote on Monday, May 15th.
And for the planning board, Gary B. Trendell.
Hi, everyone, and thanks, Nancy, and to the Women's Club, and also to HCAM for hosting this great event. My name is Gary Trendell. I'm running for one of 2 5-year planning seats for the planning board. As a relative newcomer to town politics, I have to say that I'm humbled to be running against such a dedicated group of individuals. The other candidates, they've given hundreds, if not thousands, of hours to our community, and Hopkinton is a better place because of them. So since I announced my candidacy, I've really gotten one common question from nearly everybody I've talked to: why am I running for planning board? And to me, it really comes down to 3 things. So the first, lifelong interest. Even dating back to high school, I've had an interest in urban planning and architecture. I looked at studying that topic in school, in college, and actually ended up taking a more traditional track in civil engineering. In business school, I worked for a small consultancy that focused and advocated for new urbanism, which really got me excited and sparked my interest in ways of improving our community. To me, good planning is an art. It combines a willingness to engage with the community, a strong technical background, a forward-looking vision, and a deep appreciation for what builds strong, sustainable communities. Secondly, I want to bring a new and fresh approach to making Hopkinton a more desirable community for all ages. We all know we've got great schools, but unfortunately many parents opt to move elsewhere when their kids graduate from our school system. The result is a perpetual increase in school-age population that puts a massive financial burden on our town. What if parents didn't leave after graduation? What would it take to convince them to stay? My vision may be aspirational, but through the planning board, I help to protect the things that we love while enabling and encouraging smart development that actually enhances our community. And third, I want to set an example for my family. As a father of 3 girls, it's important to me to show them what it means to be part of our community. So thank you, and please vote for me on May 15th.
For the planning board, incumbent Kenneth R. Weismantel.
My name is Ken Weismantel. I've lived at 145 Ash Street for 36 years. I'm here to ask you to re-elect me to the planning board. Why should you vote for me? 4 reasons: community service and experience, transparency, vision and leadership, and an engineering background. My community service includes a long list of town positions. I am completing 10 years on the planning board, and I've been serving for the last 6 years as chairman. I was elected to the DPW, Cemetery, and Water and Sewer Commissions. I've served on many other committees, including Open Space, Fruit Street Master Plan, Municipal Studies, a Municipal Needs Study, and Zoning Advisory. I was appointed by Governor Baker to the Water Resources Commission, which implements the Clean Water Act, and the 495 Metro West Suburban Edge Community Commission, which is doing a regional development study for the legislature. The planning board is very transparent under my leadership. All of our meetings are televised. The public is invited to provide input. We post all documents online, and our minutes are detailed. My vision for Hopkinton is expressed in the master plan, which was recently updated under my leadership. We included vision statements and an implementation plan in the master plan for the very first time. I'm a problem solver with an engineering background. Here are my key goals for the future. Implement the new master plan, attract new businesses to lower taxes, ensure Legacy Farms development fulfills their commitments to the town, revitalize downtown, encourage open space and recreation land, improve traffic corridors and sidewalks. I've been working on all of these and would like the opportunity to continue. Please vote for Ken Weissmantel on May 15th. Thank you.
And for the planning board, Kelly Karp.
Good evening, and thank you to the Hopkinton Women's Club and HCAM for allowing us this opportunity to introduce ourselves. My name is Kelly Karp, and I'm running for the 3-year seat on the planning board. My husband Brian and I have lived here for nearly 12 years. This is where we've raised our 2 teenage daughters, Elizabeth and Emily, and the place I call home. If you understand why this is so important to me, you'll understand why I'm running for the position. As a kid and a young adult, I moved frequently and never really had any deep-rooted community associations. After Brian and I got married and once the kids were born, we moved another 4 times in search of the perfect place to raise our family. And then we found Hopkinton. Great schools, beautiful open spaces, natural resources, and a welcoming community. It was perfect. I fell so in love with this town that I wanted this to be the place that my kids always remember as home and would someday raise their families here. I have seen so many changes to the landscape in our town in the last 12 years, and while change is necessary and often very good, it needs to be planned, managed, and measured with preservation of natural and historic spaces in the forefront of every conversation. We need to find creative ways to increase our commercial and industrial tax base and revitalize our downtown in a fiscally responsible and transparent way. Your voices need to be heard, and you deserve to have someone on the board that will ask questions on your behalf and provide clear explanations when things are not clear or obvious. I am that person. I currently serve on the Parks and Recreation Commission and Upper Charles Trail Committee, and I've loved every minute of it. I bring to the planning board a new vision, a fresh perspective, and a voice of reason. I respectfully ask for you to vote for me, Kelly Karp, on May 15th. Thank you. And just with the few seconds I have left, I just would like to say on behalf of Muriel Kramer for Planning Board, she would be here if she could. She's presenting her final paper for a master's degree in social work tonight. It's something that she's worked very hard for the last 3 years. I've worked closely with Muriel for this campaign and can assure you that she is committed to a fair and consistent and transparent process. Thank you.
And for the planning board, Irfan Nasrullah.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Hopkinton Women's Club. My name is Irfan Nasrullah. I'm running for the 1-year position for the planning board. My family moved here in 1981. The only times I've left were to get educated. First, I left for the University of Massachusetts, Amherst. Then I went to law school in California, and then I got my master's in environmental law. I believe I'm the right guy. I keep coming back to this town because I like this town. I believe I'm the right guy for this position because of my experience and my education. I've worked for the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection, protecting wetlands, waterways, also worked in the wastewater and air pollution programs. After that, I decided I want to come back here. Opened my business here, opened my law practice, where I practice real estate law and environmental law. I think my position as a real estate lawyer and an environmental lawyer puts me in front of planning boards, puts me in front of boards that help shape what a town is going to become. I moved back here. I opened my business here, and I live here because I want my children to experience what I experienced. I want to be a steward of the environment for the town of Hopkinton so future generations can enjoy what I have come to enjoy. I've been riding my bike around this town, hiking. The scenic beauty is breathtaking. I think that other future generations deserve the same. And for that, I ask for your vote on May 15th. Thank you.
And for the planning board, Al Rogers.
Good evening. Thank you to the Hopkinton Women's Club for once again hosting this very important event. My name is Al Rogers. Excuse me. I'm running for the one-year unexpired seat for the planning board. I built my house in Hopkinton 33 years ago and have lived in the area my entire life. I raised my family in town. My son still lives in town with his family, and my grandchildren will attend Hopkinton schools. My grandson is currently attending kindergarten at Center School, and my granddaughter will begin in September 2018. I've helped out Cub Scouts, coached and served on Little League and Babe Ruth boards. I served on the Parks and Recreation Commission for 7 years, most of those years as chairman. I served on the Fruit Street Search Committee and Developmental Committee and contributed to the development of the original master plan for that property and played a large part in the planning and construction of the Fruit Street fields. For the past 12 years, I've served on the Marathon Committee, and I've been a member of CPC for 8 years. I spent most of my working life in facilities management and construction business, and 24 years as a business owner. My work experience and my knowledge of construction management would make a great asset to the planning board. If elected, I would work to continue the great progress that has taken place on the board. I would work toward attracting more commercial development to ease the tax burden on residents, and I would work to ease traffic situations. This may be done through the plan for downtown revitalization. We need to take a hard look at business owners' needs through that project and make it convenient for customers to do business here in Hopkinton, making sure there's enough parking and ease traffic. I would keep an open mind and consider all sides of issues before the board. The planning board has to balance property owners' rights and the needs of town residents. I thank you for your time, and I ask you for your vote on May 15th.
And for the school committee, Meenakshi Bharath.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Hopkinton Women's Club and HCAM for making this program possible. I'm in front of you today seeking your vote because I have chosen to step up and act to serve on the school committee. A conversation with a fellow volunteer at the Hopkinton Senior Center about a program I run for children has turned into my running for the school committee. I realize this is a complex job of great responsibility that requires much dedication, time, and effort. While it may seem that you don't have much of a choice this year, I would like to assure you are not being shortchanged. My professional background has been in the corporate world. Until last year, I was working as Vice President, Enterprise Risk Management at a very large Boston-based investment bank. I chose to resign from my position to spend more time with family and pursue a career in education. While at the bank, my work involved leading my team on complex projects, large and small. One such project for which my contribution was recognized by the very top management reduced RWA by over $2 billion and provided much needed capital relief for the bank. I have volunteered and participated at various school events from the time our son joined Center School. As a family, we are supporters of our public library. I miss the wisdom of my elders, and my volunteer work at the Senior Center helps me fill that gap in my heart. I also volunteer as a math tutor for children from elementary to high school at Framingham's Homework Center. My husband, myself, and my son have lived on Ash Street for the past 7 years, and we live what the community has given us. When I serve on the school committee, I will work on issues that the community prioritizes. 3 that are important to me are fostering open communication, fiscal responsibility, and programs for advanced learners. I respectfully seek your vote. Thank you.
And for the school committee, Jennifer A. Devlin.
Hi. My name is Jen Devlin, and I'm running for school committee. A few weeks ago, I released a candidate statement that outlined my background and qualifications for this position. So rather than repeat all that again tonight, I thought I'd share with you a few of my beliefs and ideas that I think are relevant to the work of the school committee. The first concerns our town's growing population, which has been brought up a few times tonight. As our town continues to grow, we are going to face some difficult scenarios trying to accommodate the increasing number of school-aged children who are joining our communities. I know the school committee has been hard at work at this already, and I know we're going to find the solution, but I do think it's going to require a team effort, team across the board between a variety of different boards and variety of different boards and committees in town, which kind of leads me to my second important topic. Over the last several weeks, I've had the chance to sit down and talk with some folks who serve either currently or in the past the community. And one of the sort of reoccurring themes that has emerged from these conversations is the need for productive communication between boards and within boards. So I hope to keep up the lines of communication as a member of the school committee. I love that people are passionate about their role in their committee. I think that's really important, but I think we have to keep in mind that we are all part of a larger group whose goal is to maintain the level of prosperity of the town as a whole. Which brings me to my final point. For me, as a member of the school committee, my number one priority are the students and the teachers. I truly believe that it's vital for us to use current research to guide all of the decisions that we make, especially when they relate to the students and the teachers. Specifically things like changes in assessments and high-stakes testing and special education, recess time, and homework expectations. The kids always have to come first. So I hope that by sharing with you my viewpoints on these topics, I will earn your vote and be able to serve the school committee. And thank you to the Women's Club and HCAM for hosting this tonight. Thank you.
Let us now give a round of applause for all the candidates. It's time for the second portion of our program, the question and answer segment. For members of the studio audience who desire to ask a question, please step up to the microphone, state your name and address, and ask your question and to what board it is posed. If you prefer to submit a written question for me to ask, there are some cards, some note cards, and pens in the back of the room by that door. In addition, viewers at home can ask candidates questions by dialing the direct call line, the number is shown on your TV screen, or by sending an email to live@hcam.tv. Members of the audience, please remember that if new people are waiting to ask a question, I will enforce a limit of one question per person. Responses from candidates must be kept to a maximum of 2 minutes. If a question is posed to a specific candidate, I will offer response time to other people running for that office as well. And lastly, the first person in a group to answer a question will begin alphabetically and rotate as subsequent questions are asked. And now we're ready for the first question. I had asked the audience before we started if someone would volunteer to ask the first question. I did not get a volunteer. Some people have come in since then, so I'd like to make that offer again. I have a couple that have been emailed in. I could break the ice with that, but all right, come on up, state your name and address and the board and your question, please.
Eric Sonnet, 60 Teresa Road. A question for Mr. Weissmantel. Virtually every candidate for the planning board has spoken about controlling growth. I'm not sure what that means. Will you please, as chairman of the planning board and the longest serving member of the planning board, give us your vision of growth?
All right, thank you. So since it was posed to Mr. Weissmantel, he will come up first, and then we will start alphabetically after that.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to kind of recap what growth has been for the last and projected for this decade, from 2010 to 2020. Planning Board is projecting a 1,498 new dwellings in town during that period, 10-year period. Of that, 1,155 of those are in 3 projects. The apartment complex at Legacy Farms, the Muse one that's being built on Lumber Street, and then Legacy Farms at all. The 2 apartment complexes were 40B projects, affordable housing. We had no control whether we were going to have those projects or not because we were under our requirement for 40B. Legacy Farms, this town made a decision 10 years ago not to buy the property. So those were coming on that. We only have 343 units that are not part of that bunch. That's 34 units a year. Typically, in the 90s, we were doing 150 units, single-family houses. The real growth was back in the 90s. We're a lot less there. It's 2 apartment complexes in Legacy that's kind of skews it. The real question on controlling growth is how do we manage the effects? And we have a lot of things going on. First of all, our schools obviously are taking care of the growth so far. We're number 3 in the state. Our traffic, you're going to be seeing a new traffic corridor for downtown. That's in the works. The selectmen are going to have the design review shortly, and we're going to get paid a lot of it by the state. That's taken us about 5 or 6 years to get in that process, but it's coming. We've got on town meeting warrant, we have Hayden Road traffic calming items. So we're fixing the problems. We have enough water, we have enough sewer. We're taking care of the problems it is. We're managing the growth that we're having. Thank you.
Amy Ritterbusch.
Thank you for your question. Let's see. So managing growth is really tough, and we already had 390 building permits issued last year, and so people see that and they see the growth all around them, and they're naturally concerned. But I think the planning board needs to make sure the public is more aware of the process and more engaged. It's critical that the town boards work together to prepare for growth and look for connections that can help us operate better as one town. Working with the school department on the enrollment and what areas of town are growing, traffic. Let's see, we need to look at what other towns are doing that have successfully controlled growth. And we have to be careful in how we try to curb growth too, because some ideas backfire. Like I believe I had heard probably from Mr. Wisemantel that we stopped letting people hook up to town water a long time ago to try to curb growth, but the result was that people didn't really stop building, they just didn't get water. And so now they have wells, and then when we're in a drought, we can't restrict their watering. So we have to be careful and research what has worked and not worked in other towns, and what's worked and not worked in our town, and and work together, especially the master plan. I attended the master plan public hearing this year, and it was a really small number of members of the public that attended, and we're really making sure people are engaged and come to things like that. Thanks.
And Gary Trendle.
So I think growth is something that we all struggle a lot with, and for me, I think there's a couple of things that we can do to really help limit it and control it in the right ways. The first is what I describe as bring more planning to the planning board, and I think the reality is it's easy for the planning board to kind of sit back and react to what's being proposed, but at the same time they have a great document in the master plan. What I struggle with is that I don't think there's a currently good plan for how to implement that master plan. And so case in point, I think that there's if you look at East Hopkinton, there is the YMCA parcel, which is vulnerable right now. I mean, if that were to change ownership, that's something that could be developed. And I think that by being more proactive in how we manage these parcels of land, there are things that we can do to protect against it. And then the second piece is something that I'm really passionate about, and that's smart growth. It's a relatively new approach, focuses on developing sustainable communities. It's an emphasis on mixed use, pedestrian and bicycle accessibility, and really in preserving natural resources. It's effectively anti-sprawl. And the whole idea is that if people can live and work and shop and play all in one place, then there are fewer cars on the road, less traffic, and a stronger sense of community. I realize achieving that is easier said than done, but I do believe that through better planning and really embracing those concepts of smart growth, I think that there are a couple of effective ways to manage future growth in town. Thank you.
I don't want you to think that I'm skipping over someone, but we did tell people if they chose not to answer a question that was fine. So we will move to Irfan Nasrullah.
Thank you. It's an interesting question, because when we talk about growth, the town's going to grow, and there's only so many things that we can really do to pull back on the reins.
I don't think that's what we want to do. I think what we really want to do is manage the growth in a way that preserves the values of our community. I think the planning board has done a great job. I'm not here to bash anyone. I think that there is a job that needs to be done, and the planning board needs to review what is before it. That said, I think that Gary's right. There is a concept of smart growth. And what we can do is we can take a step back when we look at these projects and say, fair enough, this meets the Subdivision Control Act, but there are better ways to grow this so it stays consistent with the values of our community. The town is going to grow. There's only so much we can do about that, but we can manage it. And we can manage it in a way that's going to preserve what we care about. Things like clear cutting out, an entire subdivision. Why are we getting rid of our trees? We don't need to. There are ways to preserve what we care about. And I think we can do that. Thank you.
And Al Rogers.
So it's very difficult to control growth. People have property rights, and they've made investments in their properties, and they're looking forward to a return on that investment. I think the big thing is that you hold developers responsible and keep them to their responsibilities of their commitments and what they have to do responsibly in their development. So, thank you.
Before I ask for the next question, there was a question emailed in that asks about smart growth, and since a couple of you mentioned it, I think I'm going to pose it, and again, if you feel that you've said enough about this already, fine, but to give everyone an opportunity, this person says, I'd be interested in learning whether the planning board candidates are in favor of smart growth. And then the question is from Ann Beauchamp. And she said, smart growth is an approach to development that encourages a mix of building types and uses, diverse housing and transportation options, development within existing neighborhoods, and community engagement. So she wants to know, are you in favor of smart growth? Specifically for incumbents, what decisions have you made on the planning board that reflect a smart growth approach? For others, what recent planning board decisions do you agree with or disagree with on the basis of whether the decisions are in line with smart growth? And the first person would be Amy Ritterbusch. Well, the question was posed to Ken, so he actually went first.
Okay. All right. So yes, I'm in favor of smart growth. I can't imagine anyone would say that they're not. That's the alternative. But yeah. So let's see.
Sounds smart.
Yeah. Okay. So some recent decisions that I think everyone realizes were a mistake in retrospect are the parking lot at the Starbucks. It used to be the Golden Spoon, just one restaurant with plenty of parking, and now there's 4 businesses in the same size lot and not enough parking for all the businesses. And I don't think either the customers or the tenants are pleased with the result. So that's a decision that I think everyone agrees didn't go quite right. Let's see. I'm in favor of sidewalks, and the planning board has been very supportive of sidewalks so people can get from one place to another. I live in the downtown and like to be able to walk to businesses. I can walk to Starbucks now from my house, but I can also walk to Bittersweet. I can walk, soon I'll be able to walk to Legacy Farms when that sidewalk's finished. So I really appreciate that the planning board has been supportive of sidewalks in recent years.
Okay. Gary Trendle?
Yes, I'm supportive of smart growth. As far as planning board decisions, I won't so much comment on decisions, but I think one thing that I am really happy with the planning board is that they really have embraced the concept of trails and sidewalks. And whether that be support of the center trail, the sidewalks in town, the Upper Charles Trails Committee, of which I'm a former member, and in general, every time I go to the planning board meetings, they're always asking about how can we incorporate trails into this plan. And I think that speaks to the concepts of smart growth. It's enabling people transportation options beyond just cars. It builds stronger communities, it builds connectivity, and I think that along with that comes a sense of pride. So absolutely smart growth. I think there's a future for it, and I think that with me being on the planning board, it's something that I hope to really drive through our town. Thank you.
Kenneth Wisemantel.
I'd like to begin to answer the question by quoting from a Boston Globe article of 2008. The smart growth concepts incorporated in Legacy Farms' plan mirror the town's long-term goals, said Muriel Kramer, chairman of the Board of Selectmen. It voids the fiscal drain on towns that the old style of growth was famous for. If you like Legacy Farms and you like the density, that's smart growth. There's a lot of good things about it. It's a very walkable community. We aren't done with all Legacy Farms because the commercial part has not been built yet, and that's been the Mezits have not decided to go forward with it, and they own the land on that particular part of the parcel. Legacy Farms has also been good for the town's finances. We put a bedroom count limit on that whole development, and that is the key for bringing more money into the town as opposed to money going out for services. We are only educating right now with what has been built, and half of it has been built, 168 students. It's well below, right on the forecast for the whole thing. In the condos and the single family, there's 0.5 students per household. That's pretty low compared to the 4-bedroom houses that are elsewhere in there. That's why we have $1.5 million underride coming up on the town meeting warrant. So we did some good things with Legacy Farms. We had a tough decision to make 10 years ago, but that is a concept for smart growth that will work in a big parcel like that. It doesn't work in a 10 or 15 unit subdivision.
Irfan Nasrallah.
Well, I'd be a fool to come up here and say that I'm in favor of stupid growth. So yes, I'm in favor of smart growth. The concept of smart growth is something I studied while I was in school and kind of enforced while I was working at DEP. Really what we're looking to do is ways of integrating the community, ways of building networks of trails, ways of keeping people from having to get out into their car in order to go about their day. But also we're also looking at density, but not just in that one spot, in that one area. You will have an open space area as part of that smart growth. So yes, of course I'm in favor of smart growth. I think Ken brings up certain interesting facets at Legacy Farms. I think that we can do better. I think that Legacy Farms is a smart growth project, but I think we could have done better there. And that's something that I would like to bring to the planning board. Thank you.
Al Rogers.
Yes, I'm in favor of smart growth. I'd like to make sure that developers have open space and trails, but moving forward, the downtown area, making sure that the growth in the downtown area, first of all, trying to encourage commercial growth, so our tax base is a little more manageable. But the downtown area, to make sure that the businesses down there, instead of people leaving town, they're visiting our businesses downtown, making sure that there's parking there. So that all needs to be looked at as we move forward.
Thank you. Is there another question from the studio audience?
Mary Jo LaFreniere, 18 Walcott Valley Drive. Well, first I'd just like to say I want to thank Lynn and Lisa for stepping up for assessor. I thought I was going to be out there all alone for a while. And that wouldn't be very good for the town or the Board of Assessors. But my question really is, I went to the Selectmen's meeting last night, and the discussion was a gas, I think it's a transfer station that they want to put in on Elm Street, right near Elmwood School, and in a totally residential neighborhood, which as an assessor, I don't think this is terribly good for the neighborhood, but I also don't think it's very good for the town. Now, what I did notice last night was they circled the west side of town as the side of growth that caused this need for this way station. Now, there's still a lot of growth that can be done on that side of town. And I'm wondering if there isn't some way we could work closer with the utilities to find out where they're at. I mean, we have an electric transfer station on South Street. Do we need to require more electricity on that side of town to keep from requiring the gas?
Could I interrupt you for 1 minute?
Yeah.
First of all, what board? I want whoever's going to have to answer this to
Planning
know.
or selectmen, whoever seems to want to answer it is fine with me.
Okay.
Probably planning
And then
board.
your question again.
And so I'm wondering if there's a way to find out from utility companies, before we get into this situation, that all of a sudden we've done so much growth that they need to put a transfer station to get gas out to that side of town. When we have an electric transfer station on South Street, is there a way to require more electricity requirements than gas requirements? And if we could work with the utility companies ahead of time to find out if they're going to be able to provide for the growth in these areas or not, and not run into this situation where all of a sudden we've got a growing area and, okay, now we need a gas transfer station in the middle.
We need a question.
That's my question is, how can we work with utilities to find out in advance if they're going to be able to supply our growth areas?
Okay. Who would like to, selectmen or planning board or both? Since it was at a selectmen's meeting, John, would you address it first, and we'll go through the selectmen and the planning board if you're interested.
I'm John Catino, Vice Chairman of the Board of Selectmen. I'd like to get a grasp of exactly what the question was. It came up last night. It's actually a pumping station that they were talking about, and Eversource came in. And one of the issues is that they're trying to place this pumping station on a lot that they already own. And they said that they went and tried to find some other places, but they weren't for sale. And it's one of those spots that it's too close to a school. I ended up getting up and speaking against it because, as many of you know, I work at Golden Pond, and it's very close to Golden Pond, and I'm responsible for evacuation procedures. And we'd never be able to get the people out of the building in time. You know, Mr. Weismantel, Chairman of the Planning Board, came up and did suggest them putting it back at the where the tanks are, and then switch backing the pipes so that we'd be able to have just one danger area. At this point, we already have an area of concern being the tanks, and my suggestion was not to put another one near Elmwood School. I don't know about putting it next to electrical. I don't think electrical and gas would really go together very well, but I'm sure that they might be able to do something else and not have it near the Elmwood School area. And that's basically what the Board of Selectmen is leaning towards at this point. But it's a very long process, and we're just beginning it right now. And hopefully we get to have a few more bites of that apple.
Okay. Aman Hadri?
John, this came to my attention just a little while ago, but let me just shine a little light. I mean, John just said that, we're just started preparing now. They should have been prepared a long time ago. My kids went to elementary school over there too, and it's a great neighborhood. There's some great condos there. It's a great subdivision. But this is not only an environmental issue, but it is also a public safety issue. There's kids playing over there. There's a lot of traffic happening there, and we cannot absolutely have this there. But my concern is we have some respected board members here, but where were the board members? Why aren't they advocating for something like this? I'll give you a quick example. A few years ago, they were trying to bring the casino in Milford, and the Board of Selectmen got together, they raised funds, and they fought it in the court, and they got it, they won the case there. Why isn't something like this happening over here with such an important issue? People's lives are at matter right now. So I suggest, and I would love to even bring it up to the chairman of the Board of Selectmen, that why can't we use some sort of legal fees from the town, get a legal counsel, and fight this with the state? Although it is state level, but we should do something like that. This is my 2 cents. Thank you.
Is anybody in the planning board? Gary Trundell would be first. And I actually just got a question that asks this question, I think, but for anybody who didn't follow, this question says, what are the candidates' thoughts, concerns, and suggested strategies regarding the Eversource Energy Elm Street gas gate station proposed in the residential elementary school zone that abuts the wetlands?
So that's 2 questions.
What all this is all about, I guess. And that's from Lucy Milne.
So I guess that's 2 questions. With regards to the gasgate issue, I think, number one, I have to give kudos to the Elm Street community, because I think they did a great job of engaging and rallying and becoming educated so that they could properly address Eversource. Anybody that's at the selectmen's meetings last night, it's overwhelmingly obvious that it doesn't belong anywhere near there. And so from what I heard, it seems like the selectmen are taking the appropriate action, and that they are going to do everything that they can to fight it. With regards to Mary Jo's question, as to what are we doing to prepare for the future? And again, this comes back to me to good planning. And at the end of the day, we know what large lots are remaining. We know where there's a potential to build out in Hopkinton. And the reality is that if we know that, then we should be able to plan for our future, so that hopefully we can avoid these types of situations in the future where we have utilities coming in and asking to put things in neighborhoods that have never had them previously, and really don't want them there for safety reasons, for environmental reasons, and whatever else. So to me, it comes back to more planning, better anticipation of what's to come, and if we do that, I think that we all end up in a better community.
Ken Wisemantel.
Last night at the selectmen's meeting, I spoke out against the project, and I was had a 2-minute response back then. I almost try to repeat it. If it smells and it's noisy, it doesn't belong in a residential neighborhood, period. And unless they did a lot of mitigation, of which they have not shown or proven it, it's going to be noisy and it's going to smell occasionally. And that's not appropriate for any residential neighborhood. I suggested that they might put it up on Wilson Street with the LNG plant, and then run the pipe down the high-pressure gas line easement that they already have. No digging up of streets except for where the pipe crosses the streets. I'm not sure whether they can do that or not, but that would be an alternate proposal for them. I have fought Eversource twice in the last couple of years. The way you do that is you become an intervener status. The selectmen do that. Town council, Mr. Mieres, is very good at following all the paperwork. It's a very legal and expensive process. In both times, we lost. Or basically, we did not able to influence the Department of Public Utilities, which has the jurisdiction to approve this. We fought them on the South Street one. We asked for limited zoning changes or height requirements and setbacks and everything else. And if you needed 53 feet for the mass, we'll give you 53 feet. But instead, the DPU, in their wisdom, gave them a blanket exemption from all of our zoning, which is terrible. We fought them on the LNG expansion plant. And we submitted tons of testimony, et cetera, on that project. And it still got approved. And they will be going forward to cite $150 million worth of equipment expansion and development.
Irfan Nasrullah.
This is an interesting question as well. If we want to grow, if we want to have gas, we need the infrastructure. This is something that comes down to planning and what is the master plan?
If we knew that we're going to grow in certain areas, then we should be providing for the appropriate infrastructure where that can happen. It's unfortunate when we want to cite projects that are noisy and smelly in residential areas. There are ways of looking at that as a nuisance and saying that it's inappropriate in that area. Then there's other ways to look at it and say, well, but it's better that we all be served with gas, natural gas. We need it. So I think when it comes down to it, what we really need to do is take a step back, look at our master plan, and look at where can these things be cited, and how are we going to plan it for the future. Thank you.
And Al Rogers?
I don't think the volume of gas for overdevelopment is the issue with Eversource. I think what they're trying to find is a redundancy, and they're trying to create a loop so that if there's a break somewhere, they're able to supply gas from another, the other side of so it doesn't take out the whole town. It just takes out, right where the break is. That being said, you don't have to have natural gas to heat houses. There's other ways to heat houses. So it's not a necessity to have natural gas. And I don't think behind an elementary school is the best place to put this type of a complex. But thank you.
There's another person at the microphone for a question. I'm not.
One more.
Oh, I'm sorry, Amy. Thank you.
I'll try to be brief. I think we all agree that it does not belong near Elmwood School or on Elm Street. Just a couple of other points I was going to bring up. Let's see. So I was at the Commonwealth Conversations where Senator Spilka was listening to residents, along with Mrs. Wright and Mrs. Birchman were there too. And several Elm Street residents got up to speak against this gas gate station. This was a couple of weeks ago, and this was the first I'd ever heard of it. So I was really surprised at the selectmen meeting last night that they said that they had first contacted the town in November, and I was wondering why the rest of us had not heard of it until now. So I'm really pleased that the selectmen, it sounds like, might try to seek the intervenor status, and it sounds like Senator Spilka and Carolyn Daycommer are trying to push the utilities to move it to a different location. But they did state last night that the reason that they need it is for increased demand, and they did point to the area of Lumber Street and Muse as being the demand for gas. So I don't know the answer to this, but I would like to find out if when we are planning new developments, do we have to let them have gas if we don't have enough gas, or could we encourage them to use electric or oil or something else? So that's something I need to learn more about, but anyway, thanks.
All right, thank you. Sorry. We have another question, a person at the microphone. Thanks.
Pam Waxlex, 15 Smith Road. I've got a question for the Board of Selectmen candidates. What do you see as the role of the Board of Selectmen in the town, including responsibilities of the board and what skills you would bring to the board?
Aman Hadri.
So, I see the Board of Selectmen as an executive body that governs the town. It oversees the day-to-day committees and the decision-makings. They pass the bylaws. They propose budgets. They do appointment down with the personnel. And I'm sorry, there was a two-part question. I'm sorry, I missed the first part. And what responsibilities, what I can bring, sorry.
The responsibilities of the board and what
Yep.
skills you bring to the board.
Yep, so what skills do I bring? So what skills I bring? We have had board members there for many years, and it really comes down to the results and how much they have actually produced in town. They have had, there's some great selectmen on the board currently, and they've done a lot. But what I will bring is a new approach, a positive approach. I will, as I said in my message, that I will try to bring transparency to the community and amongst all the other towns. And most importantly, I think is, going back to what they said about growth. Growth is good. We're going to have a lot of growth, but we need some fresh ideas and positive energy to manage the growth in a line to the planning. So I have a lot of experience in budgeting, in decision-making, and I feel that with my experience, I can bring a positive value to both the Board of Selectmen and to the town of Hopkinton.
And John Coutinho.
unlike many boards in town, the Board of Selectmen is not an appointed board for one specific purpose. The Board of Selectmen has to work with all the boards and all the committees. It's the highest elected position in the town. We've got to deal with policies, procedures. We've got to deal with bylaws. We've got to deal with basically setting the strategic vision. And that means, like even yesterday, when we're talking about intervening in the gas issue, it means dealing with the legislature. We've got to be able to step back and deal with all the politics involved. And what I would bring to it is, I've got over 4 years on the planning board, 10 years doing zoning advisory committee. I'm on the Upper Charles Trails Committee, the Irvine Tadaro Committee. So I'm able to get the pulse of what's happening in all the other committees, as well as the liaison to the fire and police, to bring all of that knowledge and attention to the board so that we're able to make better, more concise decisions. You know, just like last night with the intervening, I did bring some personal parts into it because I don't want it near my work, but I feel as though that I'm very qualified for the position.
Another question?
I have a question for the selectmen candidates as well, but it is kind of a zoning question, but it's also a big picture question. In 2008, the town passed the open space mixed-use development zoning at Legacy Farms, and it was sold as smart growth. And I know we just had a lot of fun with smart growth. But if some have said that the implementation at Legacy Farms turned out not to be smart growth, despite the awards it got at the planning stage for being so. Smart growth is a mix of office, retail, and housing. I'd like to ask the selectmen candidates if the town, in retrospect, have we made the right decisions over the past several years in changing the original vision for that zoning through three things. One, we changed the commercial at the corner of Clinton and East Main to commercial/senior housing. Two, we, with again the selectmen sponsorship, traded a separate commercial parcel for 180 age-restricted homes. Three, again with the selectmen sponsorship, have so far failed to pursue retail component at Legacy Farms, despite hundreds of homes being built there and occupied and crossing town east-west for their retail shopping. I'd like to ask the selectmen candidates if they think that these three decisions have deteriorated the smart growth principles of Legacy Farms and what they would do to bring back smart growth to that development.
Okay, John Quintino.
One of the main problems that ended up happening with that smart growth is that, and it was mentioned earlier, the Mezit property was one of the main components that was supposed to be part of that commercial growth. Whether or not 8 years ago when that was passed, whether it should have been more put in stone that was going to happen. As far as the 180 units of being traded from the commercial, when you think about the age-restricted housing, that doesn't bring any new students into the area. It actually just brings in revenue-producing homes. So that whole Legacy Farms, as much as people like to pick on it, is still revenue positive. You know, our schools right now are keeping up, and we didn't have to have a 6% tax increase this year because the new revenue brought in between Legacy Farms and some of the other growth brought in $2.1 million. So as much as people keep beating up on Legacy Farms saying that we're getting lots of students, we're under on the students. You know, the commercial stuff will eventually come if the land is transferred, but it's really not as dire as many of the people say, as the chairman of the planning board mentioned earlier.
Thank you. Aman Hadri.
I'll try to summarize all three, and I'll try to put it in one packet. But and I'm still getting a little familiar with all the details. But just giving an example of the legacy, I think it was a smart move to get everything developed. We have a lot of growth in town, and we need to accommodate accordingly. But what I see is that, again, there is growth, but we're still not. It's not aligned to the planning and the master plan. We have to plan smart. For example, the legacy. Going back to the legacy, I've spoken to many people over there. And they have to actually wake up at 10 o'clock at night sometimes and drive all the way across to Price Chopper to buy a gallon of milk. That doesn't make sense. And especially when there is traffic or when there is during school hours, they're stuck in traffic. So going back, I understand that they gave up the land to build more homes, but how many more homes can we build? We have to preserve the environment. We have to and have smart retail growth too, but on the other hand, we have to give incentives and plan strategically, rather than just giving up space and building more homes. But that's my answer. Thank you.
Thank you. I have another question.
Ellen Scordino, 4 David Joseph Road, and this is a question for Planning Board and Board of Selectmen candidates. The question is, when was the last all-town meeting that you attended? What article did you think was most significant to the town's future, and what factors did you consider when you voted on that issue?
Okay, so we'll start with the Planning Board. Ken Wisemantle, the last town meeting you attended, what article?
Ken Wisemantle, 145 Ash Street.
That's great.
I will admit, in the 36 years that I've been in town, I have missed one town meeting. I think the biggest thing that in the recent years, and it wasn't last year, I'm going to say the town meeting that supported the Marathon Elementary School. I think that's a big positive thing for the community.
All right, thank you. All right, Kelly Karp.
I'm uncontested, so I'm not answering a lot of questions tonight, but I'll answer this one. I attended last year's all-town meeting, and well, I've attended several meetings, but last year was the most recent one that I was in, and I actually happen to agree with Ken. I do think that the Marathon Elementary School was a very important topic that was discussed and voted on for our community.
Thank you. Irfan Nasrullah. Okay, Al Rogers.
So I've also missed one town meeting in 33 years. But I would have to agree the school building is definitely the most important thing that we passed at last town meeting. And I have a working knowledge of Center School, and I know that we desperately needed that building. So, thanks.
Amy Ritterbush.
I attend town meeting. Almost every year I send my live tweets for EHOP, so I definitely was there last year and at the special town meeting this year. It's really hard to pick, one article that's really important, but since it hasn't been said, I was really pleased about the library vote and the DPW. My neighbor Bob Bartlett was a big proponent of the DPW really needing a new facility, even though it's not, we're not going to get to see it as residents very much like we will with the library and the school, but it's very important to the workings of the town.
Gary Trendle.
I believe the question was the last town meeting that we attended, and that would have been the special town meeting that we just had. As far as a vote, why did I vote for something a particular way? It was the expansion of classrooms for the school. While nobody likes to see an increased cost associated with that, at the end of the day, I voted for it because I think it would have cost more money in the future if we hadn't approved it at this point in time. It was the right thing to do, and that was obviously very clear based on the vote at town meeting.
Thank you. Aman Hadri.
I'll give the credit to John. I think he's attended more meetings than me. But, just last year, I attended one. I think the most important one, I go back to the schooling, was the voting of the Marathon Elementary School and the expansion of the classrooms at Center School. There was a special meeting called even this year for a different reason, but I voted for that, and I think it was elections for the town clerk. So that was another one that I'd also voted for. Thank you.
And John Coutinho?
He's right. I was coming up here, I'm saying, my goodness, there was just so many of them. But one, the one I guess that comes to mind are all the close votes. And a couple years ago, we had that over 55 development at Legacy Farms that only passed by one vote. And there's all these people complaining about the over 55. And if there were some of the people that are complaining about it were just there, we probably would have passed. They're going the way that they wanted. You know, and it's one of the hard things is that these close votes, half the people walk away happy and half don't. And but it's real important that people show up to town meetings and they show up to elections and they make these decisions, whether or not you know it's they have to stand by them once they make them. I've made some hard decisions. I've been on these boards for 8, 9, 10 years, and there's always something that somebody could look back and say, "Oh, geez, John made a mistake on this one or that one," but we voted, and I'm not sure that everybody goes to town meetings and votes all the time. So I encourage everybody to go and be there, because if you don't vote at town meeting, you can't complain.
Thank you. Is there another question from the audience?
I have a question.
Great. And just state your name and address and the board and your question.
Hi, my name's Anna Amaral. I live over at Fruit Street, 176 Fruit Street. I have a question for Parks and Recreation. Currently, I enjoy a lot of the trails we have in town, such as Whitehall and the State Park. I was wondering what conservation plans you intend to keep and you intend to implement to keep these trails really healthy and clean while our town still grows in population.
Thank you. Christina Anderson. Laura Hanson.
So Parks and Rec is working really closely with the Upper Charles Trails Commission and the Open Space Preservation Commission to make sure that all the trails that are planned for our town, there's some great plans linking, you know, all the towns with the bike paths and on the rail trails. There's some privacy issues that we have to work out and things like that. But I can honestly tell you that conservation of the trails and a preservation of the natural kind of beauty of the town is foremost in Parks and Rec and the Upper Charles and Open Space. So we'll keep on it.
And Amy Markovich.
I agree with what Laura's saying. My background, I have my master's in tax and undergrad in accounting, so my hope was also to give as much as we can with open space, fiscally responsible. But like you, I want to see as much trail space that we can have. I love using the trails now, so I'd like to see us grow it, but I also see that there's a cost associated with it, that we try to keep that down for our residents as well.
Thank you. Is there another question from the audience? Yes. Christina chose not to answer. Yeah. Again, I don't want you to.
Jim Kleinkoff, Hopkinton Independent. Joe Markey asked an interesting question for the selectmen regarding legacy farms, commercial development. Actually, there was some office space that was in there too that got traded for over 55 housing. I would like to ask the same question to the planning board.
Thank you. All right. Kelly, are you? Irfan Nasrullah?
So I believe the question was, you know, how do we feel about trading the commercial component for 55 plus? Is that what the question was? Is what you're asking? So from my perspective, I think in any mixed-use development, you need to have a combination of all the uses that are initially proposed. I think when you start trading off one for another, it changes the entire tone of the project
as presented. So it's the small decisions that we make along the way that are going to dictate whether a project is going to be successful or not, and whether we're going to like it as a town. So how do I feel about it? I think that we should have stuck to the original plan. When we have a plan, we should go forward with it. And trading it off and changing it is not what we initially, what the townspeople, and what we initially thought we would approve. Thank you.
Al Rogers? Okay. Amy Ritterbush?
I mean, this was really a tough issue. Roy McDowell and his team made a good case for making the trade, but I ended up being a little uncomfortable with it, and I did not vote to do the trade at town meeting. But we did all get to vote, and it was one vote that it went forward. Let's see. I really would like to see more commercial retail shops, restaurants, and legacy farms, and I think the residents there would appreciate it. But we did get to vote, and that's what we voted on.
Gary Trendle?
We go back to the basics of smart growth, and part of smart growth is multi-use zoning. I think unfortunately, in hindsight, it is a mistake that we made this improvement. I mean, at the end of the day, we succumbed to some pressure from the developer. The developer sweetened the pot sufficiently so that enough people got behind it, and it really is unfortunate. I think that you go back to the whole concept of smart growth. It's people live and work and shop and play in the same vicinity. And I think that some of the traffic problems we have are because of the fact that we passed this. And it's a shame because maybe the retail market wasn't ripe at that point in time. But as legacy farms continue to build out, I'm pretty confident that it would have been. And I think at the end of the day, we gave in to a developer's pressure, and I think it's unfortunate.
Kenneth Weismantel?
First of all, let me correct the record. This is an office park portion of it. It wasn't the retail. We didn't trade away the retail at all. The trade went like this. The selectmen negotiated with the developer and got a bunch of one-time payments in the host community agreement. That was positive for the town. It is favored with the over 55. We're expected to put $1.8 million more in the town's pocket every year, on out forever. $1.8 million. 10 years ago, the school committee was looking for that $1 million deal. That's like 1.8 times that right here when these over 55 are built. There'll be no school kids in this whole area. The other part that convinced me to vote for it is the traffic is going to be significantly lower. This large office building would contribute to peak morning and afternoon traffic going right through the center of town. And we're not happy with that. I mean, to think that everyone at Legacy Farms is going to work in this one office building that's kind of tucked over on the corner of Wilson Street and Legacy North. I mean, you got to get from 495 to get to that place. And that's through the center of town or through Southborough, et cetera, or whatever. So it wasn't a great location. The other point I'd like to make is the office park area. That market for the 495 has been miserable for the last 10 years. We haven't built a new office building on South Street in the 10 years I've been on the planning board. They're just starting to fill up the space in Marlboro and everywhere else. We've got empty buildings on South Street. They're not, there was no way that building was going to be built up there. Thank you.
Is there another question from the audience?
Hi, Jennifer Belisi, 24 Huckleberry, retiring from the Board of Health. Thank you very much for stepping up. We appreciate that. My question is for the Board of Selectmen candidates, and you can answer it in either way, whoever wants to go first. Where do you see the town as they were 5 years ago? And if you could cite a specific example, and then where do you see the town going 5 years from now? And then I did not get a clear answer from you, Aman, of which town meeting you last attended. Just specifically about, I know John's everywhere, just in terms of your voting history. And then if anybody knows if there's any milk in Ashland, anybody? So the question is just 5 years ago, future.
Going back to the question first of the meeting, I attended this year's meeting when they had a special called meeting for that. That's where I voted over there. But I've attended the one that had the elementary marathon, but I was not a voter over there. And going back to, excuse me, going back to where I saw Hopkinton 5 years ago and where I see it now. So again, I've been in Hopkinton for almost 11 years, 10, 11 years now. And I feel that there's a lot of growth, as we can see, but the infrastructure of Hopkinton, like the roads, the side pavements, have just been the same. There hasn't been much improvement. Where do I see it going forward? I would like to see a better infrastructure, the flow of traffic being diverted somewhere else. I think a lot of streets are getting clogged up. The streets are still the same. They're still narrow. There are more cars and more people coming in town. So I think we just have to plan it strategically. And again, schooling is another issue. We had less and less students many years ago, and that population is growing too. So I think we have to work with the schooling board and the committees to try to see how we can expand and cater all the growth in town.
Thank you. That was Aman Hadri, and now John Coutinho.
5 years ago, the entire country was pretty much in a recession still. Yet Hopkinton was still fiscally strong. We had a AAA rating. We were consistently coming under the 2.5 levy limit. One of the things that we just did exactly 5 years ago, we did our first underwrite, was 5 years ago, and we're actually going to do another one this year. So one of the great things about the Board of Selectmen for 5 years ago was that we're able to keep a tight budget even in a bad economy. 5 years from now, I'd like to see that this spurt of growth is absorbed, and that we mitigate some of these issues that were caused by it, by the bad economy that actually started some of these projects 10 years ago. But when the economy started thawing out, they all came forward at once. I'd like to see the downtown filled up. I'd like to see those storefronts filled in. I'd like to see the library opened, the marathon school opened, and the DPW, which we've needed for years, opened and thriving. And that's one of the things that may help us with our roads. We'll have the trucks will be in better shape. The plows will be in better shape. We'll have all of our town services coming out of one place. Hopefully we have our town hall back in shape. It looks like it's going to be about 2 or 3 months, but we're also looking at a midterm solution. So we'll be hopefully announcing that in the next week or two, a midterm solution. So all in all, I just hope to see a new, beautiful, revitalized Hopkinton in 5 years. Thank you very much.
We have time for one more question. I have one that was emailed, but I wondered if there's someone in the studio audience, since you came here, who would like to ask a question. I wanted to pose that first. So anybody else who has a question? All right, so this will be the last one, and it was emailed in by Bernadette Markey. It's a question for the selectman candidates. Specifically, it mentions Aman Hadri. How will you help bring new residents and more diversity into the process and engage with town government? So, okay, so Aman will go first, and then John. The question is, how will you help bring new residents and more diversity into the process to engage with town government?
You know, when I moved here 10 years ago, I probably represented the 1% minority in town. And in the past, I would say probably 5, 6 years, we've seen a tremendous growth in diversity, especially in pocketed areas in Hopkinton. What prompted me to be here today, speaking in front of you, is the support that I got. not only from the Democrats, but from other people too. So what I feel, how can we move forward and bring more diversity in government? I would say that even if just each one of us reaches out to new people who are moving in town, introducing themselves, getting them more educated about the town laws, bylaws, get them more involved. Because we have a tendency as, I think I speak for most of the minorities here, that we like to just associate with our own little communities, and we don't open up, which is very wrong from our side. But we need to start reaching out and bringing them into our communities. So I was always welcomed. I was always touched by a lot of people. And there are certain people who have actually bought me out from my little group and introduced me to some wonderful people. So if we can if we reach out to one person, we can start a chain of diversity and start bringing them all together. Thank you.
Thank you. And John Coutinho.
Well, when I think about diversity, I've actually got it in my own family, even in my own self. I'm actually a Roman Catholic that lives in a Jewish home and I practice Buddhism. My family is multiracial, LGBTQ, and multicultural. I reach out to everybody everywhere. I go to all the events. I shake hands. To me, my kids, we don't see color, we don't see race, we don't see any ethnic changes. I believe that the way to be diverse is just to be open-minded and have an open heart. And if you don't see color, if you don't see sex, if you don't see religion, then that's all we need. When I think about it, I really don't want Hopkinton to end up like a big city where we have a Little Italy and a Chinatown or something like that. I like to think of us as Hopkinton, like just a nice little American town. So I smile when I think about diversity because that's how I grew up. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we need to end the questioning now, and the candidates will have an opportunity to address the audience with their closing remarks. Once again, there's a 2-minute time limit. And for closing statements, we will reverse the order. So our first speaker will be Jennifer Devlin, candidate for school committee.
So I just want to close by saying that I really do feel it is a privilege to speak alongside such accomplished people in our community and in front of you all, equally accomplished people. I'm running for the position because Leslie said it very well, I think. I made a pledge to myself this year that I was going to become a more active and informed member of my community. A lot going on for a lot of years, and a lot of people do. We all have busy lives, but this year I really did some soul searching and realized that after kind of thinking about what my strengths were, where my knowledge base is, school committee is a perfect alignment for me. I've been a teacher for 11 years. I teach health in the Southborough Public Schools. I've taught reading, language arts. I have my doctorate in curriculum and leadership. Prior to that, I managed my own personal training business, which is teaching, basically, and therapy in a lot of ways, if anyone's ever worked with a trainer. I also worked in another life in import-export finance and international marketing for a small biotech firm in Hopkinton, not in Hopkinton, in Ithaca, New York. So I feel like I have this skill set that aligns well with the needs of the community and with the needs of the school committee. And so I very much hope, as Mir said, there are only 2 of us running, so, but I hope that I can earn your vote and not just by default stand up in the school committee. So thank you very much. Thank you.
And there are 2 people running for 2 seats on the school committee. Meenakshi Barath.
Thank you. The biggest asset that I brought with me to America when I came here 15 years ago was a good education. Not just a degree, but the education and value to have gratitude, work hard, persevere, learn continuously, collaborate, and deliver. I know the possibilities this country offers if only you have a good education. I stand for every child in this community and care that they be given the best opportunities to learn and unfold their passion and potential. That they learn not just in schools, but also from the community they are a part of that is supporting their education. I think we have an excellent school system, very competent leaders, and a generous community supporting the schools. There is a lot of good work that has already gone in. I will be working to keep it going. I will be available with an open mind and heart. I will need to lean on you to learn and understand. With your support, I will work on the issues the community prioritizes. From the time I decided to run, I have had encouraging words of support from community members, and I want to take a moment to thank them. Eunice Inman, Jean Birchman, Nancy Cavanaugh, Cindy Cheshmore, Lisa Deneen, Minnie Mohan, Amy Beck, Ravi Ankinidu, Lana McAuliffe, Lima Vitti, Timoria Saba, and so many other kind citizens. I hope I get your support too. Outside of this forum, if you have any questions for me, I will make myself available. You can email me at vsmeena@yahoo.com. Thank you.
For one-year seat on the planning board, there are two candidates. Al Rogers.
I would once again like to thank the Women's Club for hosting this event, and to thank Nancy for being here. And I think if you haven't been to all 30, I think you've been to most of them. And she's also educated most of our children on how government works, and thank you for that also. Excuse me. We have 24 people here that are making a commitment to the community, and they're working hard. And this isn't easy. You know? And I would like to ask everyone in the studio audience, I think most of you will be at town meeting, and the viewing audience, to come to town meeting. We've talked about growth. The community is growing and growing, and it seems like it's tougher and tougher to get a quorum at town meeting. So, you know, this is how things happen in this town, is at town meeting, and I'd like to ask you all to make an attempt to come to town meeting. And to come and vote on May 15th. And if you're gonna come to vote, then I ask you for your vote for planning board. And thank you very much.
And Irfan Nasrallah.
I'd like to thank you again for having me, for hosting this wonderful event. We've touched on a number of interesting issues as to how our town is going to grow and what does the future hold. I'm here because I grew up here. I've been here since 1981. I love this town. I want my children and future generations to experience what I was able to enjoy here in Hopkinton. This election, we're going to have a choice between what direction the town is going to go in, and I think we have a number of very qualified, good individuals, and I think we'll be in great shape. I think I bring something to the table, though. I think my experience in environmental law and in real estate law gives me an insight that will be very valuable on the planning board. For that, I do ask for your vote on May 15th. Thank you.
And there is one 3-year seat on the planning board. Kelly Karp, candidate.
Hi, again, I'd like to thank our host for having us here tonight. As I'm uncontested and an extremely nervous public speaker, I'm going to keep my statements brief. But I just want to remind everyone how important it is to get out and vote on May 15th. If you want change and new direction for the many different boards in our community, you need to act. Please attend town meeting, please get out and vote. And if you do come out and vote, please vote for me for the 3-year uncontested planning board seat. And please vote for Muriel Kramer for the 5-year planning board seat. Thank you.
And for 2 seats for 5 years on the planning board, we have 3 candidates here tonight. Kenneth Wisemantle.
Zoning is a set of laws that our community uses to live together. Zoning allows you to use and enjoy your property, as well as to protect the rights of your neighbors to use and enjoy their property. Recently, we met our 40B affordable housing requirement. We now have local control over our growth. I made a proposal at last town meeting, and at last town meeting, they voted to put a restriction on the building of new condos. This is already slowing growth. Legacy Farms is a large planned development that clustered dwellings to maximize the open space, 500 acres of it. This plan was fully vetted by the town 10 years ago. The development is a work in process. I chaired the zoning advisory committee when Legacy Farms zoning was written. This was a transparent process with community input and HCAM coverage at every one of our meetings. We received a major planning award for this project. I'm the only remaining member on the planning board from the beginning of Legacy Farms. I know firsthand the details of what's required from the developer to complete the project. The project is very revenue positive to the town. That's why the $1.5 million underride is on the ballot, even after we've increased the budgets for our schools and town services. Our zoning bylaws require low-impact development and encourage open space preservation. Commercial property values have increased 50% in the last 10 years. This lowers residential taxes and had brought needed stores and services to town. With a great location, large amount of open space, safe community, and excellent schools, it's no wonder Hopkinton residential property values have increased and people want to move here. I have enjoyed serving Hopkinton on the planning board. I hope I have earned your vote to continue. Thank you.
And Gary Trendle.
So my original plan was to talk about planning and smart growth in my close, but I think we've hit on that quite a bit. So Plan B, here's my commitment to you. I think what I bring is a very even-keeled perspective. I bring technical expertise in engineering and construction. I bring a good ear to the people of Hopkinton, regardless of whether you've lived here for 2 years or whether you've lived here for 50. And I think that the planning board has an opportunity to help shape our future, and that's something that's drastically important to me. I've lived here for almost 10 years with my family. As anyone that knows me can attest, I love this town. I've spent the last 10 years remodeling my house, and I don't plan on leaving. And I want to make sure that not only is this a great place for me to live for the rest of my life, but it's a great place for future generations to live as well. So like everyone else, I encourage you to be at town meeting next week. I encourage you to vote on May 15th. And of course, I encourage you to vote for me. So if you want to learn more about me, I have a website, www.trendleforplanningboard.com, and look forward to further conversations over the next couple of weeks and really the next couple of years. Thank you.
Amy Ritterbush.
In closing, I'd like to once again thank the Women's Club and HCAM for providing the opportunity to residents to get to know the candidates. The whole town benefits from having informed voters. It will be a privilege and honor to serve on the planning board, and I'm looking forward to bringing my experience, love for the town, work ethic, and attention to detail to the planning board to ensure that we're growing in the best manner for all of us. I work hard to stay on top of the issues in town, and I'll bring balance and fresh perspective to this important board, and I respectfully ask for your vote. I would like to invite voters to email, text message, or call me with any questions or concerns about issues that might not have been addressed tonight, and you can find my contact information and details on my Facebook page, facebook.com/AmyForHopkinton. And like everyone else, don't forget to vote at town meeting and town election. And I wanted to remind you that if you're out of town on election day, absentee ballots are available from the town clerk, but the town clerk is no longer at town hall, so you have to go find him at the police station. So anyway, thank you very much.
And for the Parks and Recreation Commission, there are 2 available seats. Amy Markovich.
I'm truly humbled to be included amongst all these candidates. It's great seeing so many people committed to Hopkinton. I have been part of the commission of seeking re-election, and I gotta say, what we have accomplished over the last few years has been great. We've grown a lot of programs, and I hope to see that continue forward. Thank you. Thank you for your vote.
Laura Hanson.
Thank you again for this forum. This is a great opportunity for the community, and I really encourage all of our residents to come out and vote and be involved. I have enjoyed working with Parks and Rec for 2 years immensely. We've accomplished a lot, and there are many projects going through that I'm really excited about and that we're all really excited about. So I hope that you will vote for me on May 15th, and I will continue to serve and try to keep you all having fun.
Christina Anderson.
So my commitment to town, between me and my husband, we've had 6 children go through the public school system, go through the Parks and Recs programs. And like I stated before, I would just like to see more teenage-based programs because I have teenagers and I realize that if you're not in the high school teams, other than I think basketball, maybe there isn't really, so I know firsthand what a bored teenager can get into. I work in the post office, my family roots are in this town, and I would just like to help mold all the forthcoming projects that are happening in the town.
And for Constable, Francis Durso.
I cede my time to the other candidates.
Thank you. For the Cemetery Commission, Claire Wright.
Well, thank you for listening tonight and learning a little bit more about the Cemetery Commission. And I'm going to take this chance for a little public service announcement. If what you've heard tonight has given you a newfound appreciation for the work that we do, we could use your help. So on Memorial Day, we hope you'll help us to truly honor our veterans, especially those who are long gone, by showing that they're not forgotten. We will do another cleanup of the veteran stones. This time at Mount Auburn Cemetery. We'll start at 2 o'clock after the morning ceremonies are over. All you need to bring is a bucket, a plastic bristle brush, and some elbow grease. We will show you how to make those veterans markers handsome and dignified again. So I hope you will help us. And I hope that on Election Day, you'll get out and vote. For me, Claire Wright, and for our many candidates whose strong spirit of volunteerism makes Hopkinton such a wonderful town. Thank you.
And for the Board of Library Trustees, there is 1 seat open for 1 year, Jessica King.
Hi. So I'd like to thank everyone for your attention, for paying very good attention to everyone here answering the questions, for all the candidates that are here representing our town. And I want to, as everyone else has said, encourage everyone to come out and vote. And I also ask for your vote on May 15th. And really, not just you come out and vote, remind your friends and family who live in town as well. Not everyone is watching tonight, so please remember to come out and vote.
And there are 2 seats open for 3 years. There are 4 candidates, 2 with us this evening. Margaret Wiggin.
Thank you again, everyone, for coming. Thank you for moderating so nicely. And again, someone else said it, I'm very humbled to be in the company of such wonderful candidates and volunteers. The reason I want to help the library as one of the trustees is because I believe that it is a rich resource in our center. Many things happen at the library. There's a wonderful collection there, so I want to help maintain that and guide that into the future. I humbly ask for your vote on May 15th. And please get out to vote, as the other people have said. Thank you very much.
Susan Curries.
Like the other candidates, I want to express my thanks to Nancy, HCAM, and the Hopkinton Women's Club for making this opportunity available to us tonight. I think we all have high hopes and expectations for our library, but if you ever think about moving into a new home or perhaps a renovated home, you know these things don't happen without a few surprises. We're incorporating new technology, we're expanding the programs and services that the library provides, and we're making a huge physical move. Our library leadership and staff need our support, and I want to be a part of that. I hope you leave here tonight knowing that I'm passionate about the library, that I have tremendous respect for the work and capabilities that the library director, interim director, and staff have done, and that you'll know that I'm open-minded, hardworking, and that while I bring a new perspective, I'm also looking forward to being able to work with so many of these people and so much of the talent and experience that is present in our town offices. So I do want everybody to get out and vote, to encourage their neighbors and friends to vote, and I hope that you will support me at the polls. Thank you.
And for one year seat on the Board of Health, Michael King.
So I wanted to thank the Hopkinton Women's Club and HCAM again. It really was heartening being up here with so many people who care deeply about the town. I think we've established that one of the biggest challenges we have moving forward is the growth of the town and managing and maintaining the town's character. I come from a scientific background. I would, very much like the opportunity to contribute and help solve problems. So I ask on May 15th that you vote for me, Michael King, for the Board of Health.
And for one 3-year seat on the Board of Health, Elizabeth Whittemore.
Hi, Lisa Whittemore. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. Thank you to the Hopkinton Women's Club and HCAM. It really is an honor to be up here with everybody that is volunteering their time for this town. I'm honored to be running for this position. I'm unopposed. It will be wonderful to work and to learn from everyone here. I think that together we can make the town stronger. May 15th is the date. It's not that far away, so please go out and vote. And my name on the ballot is Elizabeth, but everybody calls me Lisa. And if you have any questions for me, please feel free to get in touch with me.
And for the Board of Assessors, a 1-year seat, Leslie Vicari.
Again, everyone, thank you for this event. I encourage you to go out to town meeting. I remember my first town meeting, and what stuck in my mind is when Bruce, the town moderator at the time, said, and at the end of the night, we're all still neighbors. I thought that was very unique and made us, spoke to the uniqueness and how this community comes together, and I've also used that in my work. I hope you've gotten to know me a little bit tonight, and that I've earned your vote even though I'm uncontested, and I ask that you vote for me on May 15th for the Board of Assessors. Thank you.
And for a 3-year seat on the Board of Assessors, Leah Batley Rafferty.
So thank you to our host. Thank you to everyone for being here. I started off by throwing my resume at you. So I will end by just talking a little bit about why I came to the town. I've been here, like I said, 1.5 years. I have 2 high school kids, and they are both what would be called 2E, so special needs, but also very, very smart. And they're very difficult to find placement for in schools. And I came here specifically because of all of the interactions I saw on Facebook, on sites with all of these parents who were so concerned about their children. And I walked into this town, and I remember walking into Bill's Pizza and seeing teenagers all working there, and it struck me as so Norman Rockwell, right? Like this gorgeous town with these beautiful kids, all of them working for their town, and I knew I had to live here. I have always been a volunteer. I've worked board of trustees. I've run high school competitions within Pittsburgh where I lived before. So I always like to give back. I took a year break, but now I'm in here, and I hope you will all vote for me. I'm uncontested, but I'd still like to see you at the polls. Thank you.
And there is 1 open seat on the Board of Selectmen, Aman Hadri.
Thank you, Nancy. First of all, thank everyone for coming out and hearing us tonight. We have a very talented group, and thank you very much for stepping up. I've been asked that, I'm a fresh face to some people in town, but in my eyes, I've been asked, how much experience do you have? In my eyes, being a board member for 10, 15 years and not doing anything, I think is, and not even producing any results, versus someone like me who is coming fresh with a positive approach. And my experience, what I can bring to the town is experience with managing people and budgeting and decision-making. I think these are the 3 crucial things in my experience. And generally, I've been asked, what kind of community work have you done? I've never seen in the community. In my eyes, I don't take pictures and face them and post them. My sense of community work is, when I walk or run down Spring Street, I pick up the garbage in the morning. When my neighbor calls me at 4 o'clock in the morning to help me out, shove, that's what I do. So I'm just the everyday person who works, comes back, and wants to serve the community. But what I request from you is, humbly stand here and ask for your vote to support me. So together we can make a change and work in unity. Thank you.
And John Coutinho.
At the national level, the state of politics in our country has degraded to a point of divisive, at times dysfunctional. I won't let that happen in Hopkinton. As Tip O'Neill said, all politics are local. Let's make decisions based on what's best for Hopkinton. That's what I've been doing for almost 10 years. And this statement I take to heart when I make each vote. The background of my decision making is based on 5 years of the planning board, 3 years on the Board of Selectmen, 9 years on zoning, 5 years at Port Charles, and 6 years as a volunteer in the high school. During these years, I've had the privilege of working with other dedicated volunteers as well as town employees. Here's a small example of my accomplishments, as my opponent doesn't see it as such. Proposing possibly the Commonwealth's only Proposition 2.5 underride this year. Submitting fiscally responsible budgets each of the last 3 years. These budgets support strong educational systems with our high school ranked third. The 4th safest town in the country, and our town hall promotes great customer service. We obtained town approval for a new public library, DPW facility, and elementary school. We purchased multiple properties last year. Some may ask, how do you determine your priorities for what the board should be focused on? It's easy for me. I'm in the community every day and I listen. I'm a resident of Hopkinton. I have one daughter in the high school, one daughter who graduated last year, Educational Foundation, providing amazing opportunities at the collegiate level. For the last 8 years, I've attended an average of 3 town-related meetings a week and often other things that are not listed. I'm an active participant in the Hopkins community, and I'm happy to do so. When you're casting your vote on May 15th, I ask you to please remember those words of Tip O'Neill. All politics are local. Don't allow Hopkinton to slip into the same divisive trap we see in Washington, D.C. Take a good look at my experience and the accomplishments. If you think I've worked hard in the best interest of Hopkinton, I respectfully ask you to please vote for John Catino, your selectman, on May 15th.
Thank you. On behalf of the Hopkinton Women's Club, I would like to extend a special thank you to the candidates who participated in this event tonight, to our studio audience, and to the television viewers who are joining us this evening. I also want to acknowledge the HCAM TV staff and crew for making this broadcast possible, and the Women's Club members and high school students who volunteered tonight. We hope you feel this program has been informative, and we encourage registered voters to vote in our town election on Monday, May 15th. All Hopkinton precincts vote at the middle school between the hours of 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. Absentee ballots are available at the town clerk's office, which is temporarily in the police station. We invite those of you in our live audience to join us now for an informal reception with the candidates. Thank you all, and good night.